English than they are French.
Well, that's what I wanted you to say, because I went through the camps this week and we couldn't find anybody speaking English. We found one person who knew a few words, so that is absolute nonsense, Benjamin,
well, to be honest,
you know it.
Lee, if you came near me, I also would pretend not to speak English. So.
Benjamin, I can assure you, and GB News viewers, I will come in nowhere near you, my friend.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Julian Discourse. Before we dive in, please make sure to like and subscribe. Have you ever listened to a so-called expert confidently explain how something works right after you just saw the exact opposite happen with your own two eyes? That is exactly what happens here when Reform UK MP Lee Anderson completely corners left-wing pundit Benjamin Butterworth over the border crisis. While Butterworth desperately tries to defend the broken asylum system by claiming migrants are leaving safe countries like France for the UK simply because they speak English, Anderson shuts him down with one brutal reality check. He just walked through the camps in Calais. It perfectly exposes an insulated pundit class that relies on theoretical, rehearsed talking points to defend open borders, while completely ignoring the undeniable reality on the ground. Watch this.
The first half of this year, the number of small boat crossings was almost half the first 6 months of last year.
But what about the year before, Benjamin?
The year before they were inheriting it from the previous government, so it's understandable that it took a little time to turn around. But the fact is that more than 2 years in, almost halving the numbers coming across in the channel is a massive progress. And in fact, the numbers are better than that because of all the attempted lift-offs from the French side, 60% are stopped. And so this means that the plan is clearly working. Obviously, anybody coming over in a small boat is not good for the people in the small boat or for Britain. But to have halved the numbers is a success. Even you are going to have to admit that.
What do you mean, even me? Don't sneer down your nose at me, Benjamin Butterworth.
Don't sneer down your nose at those good French police doing their work.
No, doing their work,
dear
Emma.
Lord, I mean, you saw that video of Chris Philp challenging them. The police were standing there while these guys were getting on the dinghy, and he challenged them, and he just shrugged. We've been given orders not to do anything about it. I mean, I'm glad to hear that Benjamin has finally come around to the idea that these people are not good for Britain. But the reality is, he's saying that the number of people have come down, the numbers of overall come down. We saw a dip with the Rwanda scheme, which then the government scrapped. They've had 2 years to deal with this. The boats are still coming at an unbelievable rate. We now have mega dinghies with over 100 people on them. The boats are getting bigger and bigger. The smugglers are finding ways of getting around what paltry measures actually there are. I mean, we need to see some kind of hard border in France. We need to see the French actually using our money to do something like build a fence, do what the Spanish have started doing now with putting rows of buoys in the water, create some kind of physical barrier. And if they need to deploy the French army or the French and the British army on Calais, on the beaches, to stop these people from getting into the water, to make sure only people with permits can actually cross the channel.
The group made footpaths right up to the beach. I mean, it's not rocket science. They're going from this particular landing point on a regular basis. And as Emma says, the police do absolutely nothing. Once they're in that water, they leave them alone. They're doing nothing to stop this. It's the pull factor.
Well, look, clearly the police do bother because that's why there are 43% fewer people coming across the channel in the first 6 months of this
Benjamin, I'm going
year.
to stop you there, mate, because this is ridiculous. They might stop the boats, but they do not stop the people, because the people will try and get on a boat 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 times before they get to our country. Every single man in northern France in them camps are getting to the UK, whether it's the first time or the 10th time.
Well, demonstrably that's not true, because as I say, the numbers are almost halved. If the numbers are almost halved, then that says that the situation is getting much better.
The camps are getting bigger, Benjamin.
Well, they're getting bigger in France, and that's what we asked for, isn't it?
No,
so clearly,
for that.
I think it's really frustrating that I think it shows that you just want to make political hay out of this, because when the numbers are coming down, when the numbers, not just coming over, but the number of asylum seeker being approved is coming down, the number of people deported is going up, the cost of hotels is going down.
Stop peddling out this
I'm sorry,
rubbish.
Lee, but you're going to have to deal with the truth.
Who's being deported deported from this country. 70,000 deported under Labour. 53,000 of those have gone in their own free will. They're visa overstayers and students. They're not people that's...
Bit, because there are all sorts of also circumstantial factors there. It might not necessarily be what the government is doing. The number of small boats that should be coming across the channel should be 0. Any number higher than that is totally unacceptable and a risk to
one
the
of the
British
questions
public.
I keep asking people on the left, like Benjamin, and Labour politicians when they'll listen to it, it's not very often, is why they're leaving France, Benjamin, a safe country to come to the UK?
Well, we know that many have family links here. They're more likely to speak English than they are French.
Well, that's what I wanted you to say, because I went through the camps this week and we couldn't find anybody speaking English. We found one person who knew a few words, so that is absolute nonsense, Benjamin,
Well, to be honest,
you know it.
Lee, if you came near me, I also would pretend not to speak English. So.
Benjamin, I can assure you, and GB News viewers, I will come in nowhere near you, my friend.
You'd have to be willing to take the knock of being accused of breaking international law, which I would absolutely be fine with us doing that.
Love that.
I mean, Greece have gotten in trouble before for quote pushback policies where they prevent people from entering in and you know basically push them back over the border.
Yeah.
I think it was amazing that the Spanish authorities were able to send people back over the border to Morocco, but that was partly because the Moroccans were willing to allow them to do that, which the French are not allowing us to do. But it was also because the Spanish have legislation that we don't have that makes it slightly easier for them to do that. So if the political will was there, you see this all the time from politicians where they'll say, oh, we can't do this because the law won't allow us to do it. You are legislators.
Yes.
Change the law.
Yes. And who, Benjamin, who in this country lies awake at night worrying about international law?
Well,
Do you?
I think international law is important.
Do
For
you
example,
lie awake worrying about if we break international laws?
I sleep very tight. You don't need to worry about that. But what
Well,
I
I
would
don't,
say
to be honest, but yeah, carry on.
is that international law is the reason that we have a stand against Russia invading Ukraine or China threatening Taiwan. Let's not undermine something that is the
You've just
basis of
contradicted
modern
yourself.
security.
As countries like Russia and China and North
That
Korea
is international
obey
law that we are
international law.
defending. These are the boundaries. And it's that same international law that when Reform and your ilk in the last few days,
Ilk?
when you have said
Rude.
that we just dump them in
Rude.
France, you heard my northern accent then, dump them in France. When you say that, what do you do if France says no?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm here to ask the question. They won't say
You're
no.
the man bidding for the
Diplomatic
government,
row with
not me.
France. The Yusuf said it. If we need to,
yes,
we
they
need
did
to.
say if we have a diplomatic row with France, so what? I think the vast majority of people in this country, patriots, would welcome that. Emma.
I think Zia Yusuf's absolutely right that we should take the risk of having a diplomatic.
Welcome back to reality. Imagine telling a firefighter that a house isn't burning while he is standing directly in front of the flames. That is exactly what it feels like watching an insulated media pundit try to lecture Lee Anderson about the border crisis, right after Anderson physically walked through the migrant camps in Calais. What you just watched is the real-time exposure of an elite political class that relies on rehearsed talking points to hide a catastrophic institutional failure. Let's look at the absolute absurdity of Benjamin Butterworth's argument. He claims that undocumented men are traveling through multiple safe European countries and risking their lives in the Channel simply because they speak English. But as Anderson pointed out, when you actually visit the camps, almost nobody speaks English. Let's bring some educational facts to the table and expose the real pull factors the establishment actively ignores. Migrants bypass France because Britain has become a notorious soft touch. The UK has historically granted asylum at significantly higher rates than France. Furthermore, the UK's legal framework, specifically its submission to the European Convention on Human Rights, or ECHR, makes it nearly impossible to deport anyone. Butterworth confidently claimed the UK doesn't need to leave the ECHR to secure its borders. That is factually false. Let's look at the timeline. On June 14, 2022, the UK government attempted to send its very first deterrence flight to Rwanda. At the absolute 11th hour, an unnamed judge from the European Court of Human Rights issued an injunction that grounded the plane entirely. The ECHR literally protects the business model of human smuggling gangs. This exchange perfectly highlights a massive, unbridgeable disconnect. You have credentialed pundits sitting in comfortable television studios, citing cherry-picked statistics to argue the crisis is under control. Meanwhile, the working class is forced to live with the consequences of these open border policies, watching their local services become completely overwhelmed. The elite class demands your tax money and your compliance, then lectures you to be compassionate while they leave the back door wide open. The public is completely exhausted by the spin, and they can see right through the establishment's excuses.